Righto, we're back. We're back where we started about a week ago. There she is, back in the shed. So the motor change went relatively well. I mean, it took a long time. There's a brand new fresh one there now. And I really spent, I think it was 5 solid days on the first side, and then the second side we got smashed out in a day. Stony and Rooster came down, and oh yeah, I just got it done in the day, which is really great. What a machine, huh? But, and there's a big but, when I was driving it back down into the shed, it was displaying exactly the same symptoms as before. So anyway, the bloke who owns it now, whose shed I'm currently standing in, he got that information from a mechanic. So we just swapped over those motors and here we are, same problem. So the problem is the left has very little power, the left motor. The right has little power but a bit better. So with that in mind, and with brand new motors on there and it didn't fix it, I sort of went to trying to work out, these just look sloppy and janky. You see how they've got a lot of side movement in them. This left side a lot more than the right, which sort of maps out to difference in power as well. The left has got very, very little. And the other thing is, from the center, which is roughly there, it sort of doesn't take up until about there. It's got a heap of dead band in there, lots of play. That's where the action happens in that last little bit. But that there's got nothing. So I rang a neighbour last night who's worked on these things before, and he reckons it's likely that we've got troubles on top of this valve, not necessarily in the pilot valve itself down below the deck there, but up here he reckons there's pins that flog out and can cause all of that. So I'm going to do a bit of an exploratory job today. I'll pull the mats out, pull the levers off, and just see what all of that stuff down there looks like. I'll give it a nice clean up and see what we can do. So that's what we're up to. The job continues until I can get this driving well. Once it's driving well, I can leave it with the owner to do his the landscaping. He's got one last real big job here, and then there's a deal going to be done, and I'll bring it round to my place and start the project. Doesn't that look nice? That little fuse cover there, that's where you belong, mate. There you go. I'll probably have to pull that off before too long. Replace something. That'll do for the moment. Right, yeah, so then it'll come to my place and the big project of converting it into a kick-ass fencing machine starts. Love it. Anyway, I'll set this up here and we'll just see what we can do. Righto, well, got the battery on charge here just to get that so that when we go to start next. Good. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to try and get these levers off. This lever here on the right has got the rabbit and the tortoise switch on it, so it's got a cable coming down here. I just don't want to wreck that cable because that's going to be useful later on. I'll pull these levers off. Let's see what we got underneath there. So much slop in this left-hand lever. Now that I'm thinking about it, that's a much more obvious place for the fault to be. Right, well that's got a lot, and it's got this side-to-side motion here. Whoa. Okay, that's just a cap there. Bit of stainless steel cap. What's this here? Some sort of a rubber boot. I should have brought the manual along. Oh, there we go. Rubber boot. Okay. Some sort of a rocker here. Hang on, I'll bring the camera down. Right, so here we got the rocker. These have got some sort of an oil dampening system in them, so they're not real floppy. So they've got some oil in there to stop them from moving too quick. Those pins that you can see disappearing into the valve, where am I? There. Those shiny pins there, they seem to be operating just fine. But you have a look at this. I'm just going to chuck a little bit of downforce on this here. Man, can't see nothing. And that is a lot of play. That's probably what our problem is. So I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to tackle this, but maybe I'll just see if I can knock this pin out of here. It's going to be interesting. Anyway, leave me with it for a minute. I'll see what I can work up. Righto, this is where I'm at. I've got all this nicely cleaned up. I've just started removing this whole thing. I think if I can get it all off, that'd be better for me if I can get it on the bench and just have a really good look at it. They're, as you can see, they're pinned here, and then there are grub screws down in the bottom of there. Two different size grub screws, so you've seen others before me. So I'll keep going. I'll let you know if anything exciting happens, but so far, so good. Righto. Things just got real interesting. So what's happened? Those cap screws that were in here, there were 4 cap screws. They actually held the top part of this valve assembly. So what you can see in the end, in these 4 holes here, is just really a push rod that pushes down on the shuttles. The shuttles are down there. You can see the tops of the shuttles, the 4 of them. So there you go. I just split the hydraulic valve. I was hoping that just this mechanical part, the plate, would come off the top without messing around with the actual innards of the hydraulics. So here I am. I'll give this a really good clean up. You can tell that somebody's been here. There's, you know, sealant and all sorts of things. And I'll give it a really good clean up, put some new O-rings in it, and I'll put it all back together. But first of all, I'll split those 2 parts, the block of the valve, which is this lower part, and then I'll split it off from here. Then I'll see if I can work out why these things here are all sloppy. I'll get back to you. Hang on. Alright, this is how I'm going to leave it. I think I can keep that pretty clean. I'm going to go get some new O-rings for that. See those ear plugs? They're bloody handy. This thing was dripping oil on the ground. I put a pan under there, but I'm gonna have to take this other top works away to see if I can rebush those little, or find a new pin or something. But that's how I'll leave it. Righto, this is where we're at. This is the left side, the motor that was performing the worst, and it is just really, really sloppy, up and down, side to side. This is the problem, I think. There's a grub screw in the bottom of there. You can't see it, give me a second. Grub screw in the bottom of there, it's rounded out. It won't come out, so I need to sort of work at that, see if I can get it out without destroying anything. Doesn't seem to be the same size grub screw as the other side, the right hand side. So I'm throwing up hurdles just like before. Leave me with it. I'll see what I can get to, but I think I need to either do a trip down to Kobelco and get a few seals and O-rings, maybe get an O-ring kit for it, and see what I can do about these. If I can replace these parts here easily enough, that would be worthwhile doing, because that's a lot of work to try and fix that. That's just a ton of slop there, and there'd be a lot of drilling and bushing to get that fixed. So we'll just see how we go. Righto. It's been a big day of just machining and rebuilding and that sort of thing. I'm back at home in the shed. Used the lathe today quite a lot, very extensively. Now, I showed you these before. I've got this one's quite nice, absolutely no slop in it at all. It's really, really good. This one here, I haven't got it together, but I'll show you that's the bush that I've made up. I've just drilled it out, oversized, machined up a bush, pressed it in, and then the pin goes through there, and she should be right. It's late tonight now. I've pressed these out. I went to see Duncan up the road, who's a excavator mechanic. He seemed to think it's not going to be too much trouble. I did go out to Kobelco. It's lovely if you want to see brand new excavators. They're just nice and shiny and beautiful. But this part here, just that part there, was $370, and it was ex-Sydney, probably a week away. They didn't have any of these little seals, so I went to a seal shop and they didn't have any either, so I am a bit stuck with those. I'm going to leave them in. I'm hoping they don't spring a leak. It's late, I'm tired, I'm going to bed. So won't be tomorrow. I've got some things to do with my mate Jimmy. But Sunday, I'll get back to the excavator, and hopefully by Sunday afternoon we'll have a good running excavator. Yeah, it'll be great. Cheers. Righto. Oh, we're back in the shed. Sort of got started before I got the camera rolling, because you just want to get things done. But I got this. This is like the block that has got it's got a dampener system in it. I'm just fit these ones up. They've got to come back out again, so that these little cups, the little cups here with springs behind them. So that's and oil is coming up at tank pressure into those little cavities, and the cup travels through the cavity and creates a dampening sort of effect. So I've gotten to this point. I'm halfway through putting it together. Real big bummer is I've got one O-ring kit. I bought that one yesterday. It's quite nice, but useless. I've borrowed this one. That is a Caterpillar? This one here's, oh yeah, this one's a Caterpillar kit. That one there, I think, is a Kobelco kit. The other one is some other sort of kit, maybe, you know, one of the other brands. And this is my old one. This is a standard, so none of these are any good. They're not metric. Not a single O-ring that I have fit any of these positions in this valve. So I'm reusing O-rings. It's not a very good situation. The other thing is, in behind there's a little plastic, you see the little clear plastic wiper there. Underneath that, in this bore, is a tiny little lip seal. The pressure on that lip seal would be just tank pressure, which is not very high, but it's still not a good situation. Those lip seals aren't available either. So not a single rubber part in this valve I've been able to find. So I'm gonna put it back together. I can't do anything, but we'll see how it goes. At the end of the day, this valve is only gonna have use for the next 6 months. If it doesn't leak and operates correctly, I'd be very lucky, I think. If it does leak, doesn't operate correctly, I'll need to do it again, but I'll need to spend some more time. I want to knock this over today. If it all turns out okay, that'd be great. But anyway, at least these are good. They're really, really nice. They work very well. So my plan is, I'm gonna put it all together. I'm gonna re-feel the travel on those levers. If it doesn't feel right, if I feel like it needs less travel before it starts to actuate, then I can remove these again and just take it home and weld some metal back onto the backs where it's actuating the push rods. So those little balls at the back there, I can just put a little bit of weld metal on there, smooth it back out again, bring it back. And I bought some feeler gauges so I can work out exactly how much metal to put back on there. So that'll give you the correct sort of travel for the levers. That's all sort of made up, but I reckon that'll probably do it. I can work through that situation. The thing I can't do is work out this O-ring thing. Let me go. I'll see if I can put this together. I'll bring you back when it's all together and I'll report. Cheers. Righto, let's finish this off. It's all back together, all very nice. So I ended up, it's got about 20 mil play in that one and about 25 mil play in that one. That is about as good as I can do. Drives like a dream. On one occasion, it ran out of power on both motors. Don't know what that was about. And then it came back. So I'm not 100% sure, but other than that, I drove down the creek, turned around, came back. It was all really nice, and it's obviously it's even on both sides. There's a lot of travel there now, a ton of travel, so it's all very nice, and not a lot of lateral movement like that. It's a little bit more in the left, just as it was before, but those bushes have taken it up really nicely. I ended up these plates, the rockers down here, I added some weld onto, there's a couple of little balls in there, I added some weld on just to build it up to get rid of all of that slop, and that worked really well. Topped off the hydraulic oil, that's all good. Engine oil still on about half, it's all ready to go. So there she is in all her glory. I'll take a photo of that now, and that might make a pretty good thumbnail. See you on the next one.